Infosecurity TV.
I'm here on the last day of Infosecurity Europe 2012 with Des Ward, former president of UK and Ireland chapter for Cloud Security Alliance. So for anyone that missed the keynote session today, Des, could you just describe in one or two points what the main outcomes were?
I think the main outcomes from our discussion today were more surrounded around the business aspects in terms of due diligence. It wasn't around the technical security aspects. It was looking at the liability, understanding what the business impact would be from a service provider being bought up, disappearing off the landscape, and considering that kind of due diligence rather than the pure ISO 27001, PCI, that kind of normal assurance agenda that's actually being pursued. And I believe that combined with the clear discussion of risk appetite and risk assessment in terms of information were the key points.
And listening to the questions coming in from the audience, what are their main concerns around cloud security and cloud solutions?
The interesting questions that we got back were more around log management, event management. How do you actually ensure that the service provider is actually doing what doing what you actually expect them to do as well? And I think that with regards to the jurisdiction of logs, etc., that's still something that is not very well been understood. I mean, Good Practice Guide 13 from government has only recently been ratified, and that's been in the offing for about 3 years now. So if the government can't get it right, it's very difficult to expect the private sector to follow on from that to develop that further.
And is there enough collaboration between the public sector and the private sector when it comes to cloud security and perhaps infosecurity as a whole?
Well, as a former class consultant, and having worked in both sides, I can actually say that there is a tremendous amount of collaboration in terms of the thought processes. What I will say is that what I've seen over the last 2 or 3 years is a reduction of the business focus and going back to the dark days within the public sector and trying to implement security without the business engagement of risk assessment.
And having worked for the Cloud Security Alliance for some time, cloud has been on the agenda in the industry in a huge way for the last few years. How have the issues around the cloud evolved?
I actually don't believe that the issues have evolved. I think that the conversation started 2 or 3 years ago. We've not really addressed them, and it's because we're focused on a security agenda rather than actually looking at the information held within it. People are actually understanding that cloud is not necessarily anything special in terms of the assurance requirements. The way that you procure it's different. But I think that one of the key things in terms of the evolution is people are now tiring of the term cloud. They're moving on to consumerization, bring your own device, which unfortunately still goes back to what information you have, how you're going to manage it. And we're starting to see the conflict now between the digital natives and the digital immigrants, whereby if we don't actually evolve quickly enough, in 4 to 5 years, what we currently understand as security, I personally feel, will actually die and we will be bypassed.
So finally, what can the industry do about that?
I think that what the industry has to do is it has to actually understand it does not have primacy in the information debate. Information risk management is not a replacement or another word for information security. It is about sitting down with stakeholders, understanding that they want to do good things, understanding to leverage the technology to embrace and evolve the information society. And unless they have that engagement, they will die.
Thank you very much for your time, Des.
Infosecurity Europe, Europe's #1 information security event.